Hello Kenyans, this is your host Alfonso Mondi, and we are going to discuss what is happening politically in our country. One, political competition is becoming murky and no gloves of politics. It's currently dominating our political space or discourse right now. This is something that we are getting interested in, and just to know why this is the kind of politics that is playing right now. Remember, William Ruto is a politician who has been in politics for a long time. He knows what messages go or resonates well with his supporters, and for a long time he has had a consistent campaign message around the Hustler movement. But of late, he has chosen to change that message into what is increasingly terming a state project. Let's look at it from that perspective. To begin with, it is my opinion that William Ruto is bitter with President Uhuru for several reasons. One, he feels that Uhuru was to support him this time, and because of the feeling that Uhuru missed the succession plan that they had, what they termed as 10 years for Uhuru and 10 years for him. This is something that did not go well according to what he planned, and he is getting more and more frustrated with this, and he would take any chance or any opportunity to look at someone who support as a state project. So that is the genesis of that kind of talk. Of course, President Uhuru was expressing his democratic right when he decides that whoever he supports will be someone else other than William Ruto. We've seen that in the past, even other presidents. We saw during Moi period when, for example, Moi was expected to support George Saitoti, who was the vice president then, and he did not do that. Of course, the late George Saitoti had his own personal feelings about that, and he felt just the way William Ruto felt. If we'll go back to that 2002 briefly, of course, when Moi decided to support Uhuru Kenyatta, remember there was disquiet within KANU that led to mass movement out of that party. And none other than George Saitoti, who was a very loyal friend and person that Moi was working with, left that party and also joined others. So given that that is the same case or the same scenario that Ruto is undergoing right now, of course, anybody that Uhuru decides to support or gives indication that he will support will be tagged the state project. Let's look at why, again, he feels that he wants to use this term against Raila Odinga. There's a feeling that Raila Odinga is gaining ground in Mount Kenya region. And if you look at the optics, tell it that Raila Odinga is consistently being accepted in that region. People are actually warming up, even if you see the way he's being received and even the way the leaders themselves are talking about him, even the people who are moving to his camp in that area. I think that is something that is worrying William Ruto. And the only best way to counter this narrative or to counter Raila Odinga is to give him a tag. Like they say, give a dog a bad name before you kill it. Secondly, I think the state project tag is something that, just like I say, did not work well for Uhuru Kenyatta in 2002. And William Ruto, yes, he was in that camp then. He is taking advantage of that and trying to use that tag to whip up emotions and even feelings of nationalism and feelings of someone being imposed on Kenyans to actually use that tag against Raila Odinga. Whether that will succeed is something that we will not, that Kenyans, it will take time for Kenyans to really understand. The third reason why perhaps William Ruto has changed narrative to strongly push the issue of state project thing is that William Ruto began his campaign on a platform of dynasty versus hustler movement. And for a long time, he was saying that rather than bring leaders, have position for leaders, and even prioritize what leaders need, then you'd go directly to the people on the street, the people you call mama mbogas, and the small people at the lower levels of the economic class, to go directly to them. So for him, he coined himself, or he portrayed himself, or brought that image that he was an hustler and one of them. And now the other team of Raila Odinga, the other politicians coalescing around Raila Odinga and President Uhuru, remember around that time when the hustler versus dynasty narrative was really at the core of it, even Musalia Mudavadi, people like Moses Wetangula were on the other side. So those people were coined dynasty. It is now challenging for William Ruto to sustain that kind of talk, because the person that he was calling, or one of the people that he was calling dynasty, or part of them, has joined his team in the Kenya Kwanza Alliance. He cannot sustain the term dynasty versus hustler narrative, because in that case, then part of the dynasty has actually been offloaded to his side. So he has to find another term or something else to use to rely on. And the only thing that he can talk about is the tag that they are now coined, and even his brigade and are now pushing around, of the Dassler versus the state project tag. So that is something that William Ruto and will stick with for quite some time. Another thing that perhaps he wants to bring out, and which he is not bringing out, is that the way he campaigned, or he coined his campaign initially, was that UDA was going to be one party, one big party that would bring in all Kenyans from all different sides. In fact, he kept on saying that parties formed from one corner to another were not parties that were sustainable, but rather tribal parties. And this is something that he kept on knocking and hitting until it sank on Kenyans, it sank on his supporters, that UDA was the only party and one party that was going all the way to the ballot. Right now, that is something that he would not really want to talk about, that is the only party. While he would want to find a way of ensuring that his backyard or his base supports UDA, he has to find a way of accommodating his new friends. And the only way he can do that is to change the narrative and divert attention of Kenyans from that kind of thinking. So that leaves him with only one option: to ensure that he brings up the term state project, which he thinks will stick in the minds of Kenyans. So for Musalia Mudavadi, he feels that he's entitled, and Musalia Mudavadi feels that Uhuru Kenyatta also shortchanged him. It's funny that if, for example, Uhuru Kenyatta decided to support him, would he accept that he's a state project then? Or does it mean that when Uhuru Kenyatta expresses his democratic right to support whoever is supporting, in this case, indications that he's supporting Raila, then Raila becomes automatically a state project. It is clear that for, like what Raila has been saying, truly Raila cannot be a state project. The man has been in the political field for quite some, even longer than Uhuru Kenyatta himself. So he cannot be, it's not possible for him to be a state project. Perhaps the closest it can come to is that Uhuru Kenyatta would lend him his support, or would prefer that he leads the country, but not directly. Like Uhuru Kenyatta has not directly come out to say that he's supporting one Raila Odinga. And Raila Odinga has been campaigning on himself based on his policies that he felt and things that he felt that he should do for Kenyans. So when Musalia Mudavadi talks about state project, it's not really making sense. One Musalia Mudavadi, why is he feeling that he has to get back at Uhuru? In 2002, he supported Uhuru Kenyatta when he was when he was rewarded by Moi to become the shortest serving vice president. Of course, KANU did not win that election. Recently, when he lost his mother, Uhuru Kenyatta was part of the funeral delegation there. And Uhuru Kenyatta made statements to the effect that Kenya needed rotational leadership, and it was time that now that leadership was not held by a Kalenjin or a Kikuyu, but rather someone from another community. How did Musalia Mudavadi interpret this? He interpreted this to mean that Uhuru Kenyatta had endorsed him. And that when later he found out that was not what Uhuru meant, actually he really felt bad. We remember the other time that Uhuru Kenyatta came close to endorsing him was in 2013, when the issue of Mademoni statement came up. And this is something in the public domain. So it's going to be a gloves of politics. It will be politics around issues of corruption, around issues of state project, and around issues of who would be the best to serve this country. What Kenyans expect right now would be for politicians to talk more about manifesto and more about what they can do if given chance to lead this country, rather than engage in name calling and other things that really do not add value to Kenyans. Well, up to there, thank you very much. We'll be continually watching the political scene just to see what is happening, and just to engage you and also let you know what the discussion are about. So feel free to continue subscribing or even supporting this channel. We would really have like your feedback on whatever you want to share with us. You can comment, you can push on those like buttons. But all in all, we are all Kenyans, and that is what matters. Thank you very much. And till then, till next time, God bless you.